Good morning, everyone. My name is John Sears. I am the Admin Services Coordinator for Forest Parks and Recreation, and this is the Microsoft Essentials series. Today, we're going to be talking about Planner, which is one of my favorite tools in the Office 365 toolbox. It's extremely powerful, extremely versatile, and as you can see on the screen, it is Microsoft Planner. So we'll start with answering the question of what is Microsoft Planner? So this is an example of my planner board, and there's a lot going on here, but I'll go ahead and break it down to core components. So Planner is a Kanban system, which means that there are individual cards representing distinct activities, and there are individual columns, or in the parlance of Planner, buckets. So you have individual tasks oriented in buckets, and you can customize a lot of things about what you want to show or attach to those individual tasks. So you can see several examples here on my personal board. Roughly speaking, I have the process of my projects laid out in buckets, and this is how I like to do it, but this isn't the only way you can do it. So planning needed. So this is like a pre-approval type stage to do. So things that I have to put some work into beginning. Active implementation. So those are things I'm working on a daily basis. Review. So things that have moved beyond me and require either collaboration or some sort of consultation. Waiting. Things that are on a they're out of my hands. They are things that have been begun, that have received some work, but are things that might or might not be moving forward. Real quick, you can see some other things that are available on here. So you see some happy smiling faces on here. You can assign people to these tasks. You can assign start dates and due dates to associate with these tasks. You can, within each task, you can develop subtasks and set them up as a checklist so that you can mark them off individually. You see a bunch of colored tags here. So you can set up a fairly large number of tags, because viewing by bucket is just one of many ways that you can view data, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. You can set the relative importance of a task. So you see here I've got an exclamation point because I was onboarding somebody, and that was really important. So I wanted to highlight that that was a pretty important priority. And what's really cool, and one of the best things to me about Planner, is that you can attach things to it. So before we were really operating in the cloud, when you got an email, it would have some attachments associated with it, and like those would be your collaborative documents, right? You'd get a copy of it, you'd make your edits, and you'd send it back, right? But nowadays, it's far more likely that you'll get a collaborative link to a cloud document that you're going to edit. And it can be really confusing to keep track of, all right, these are documents associated with it that I need to attach. These are collaborative documents that I have links for. These are websites that I need to be able to access. There's a lot of different kinds of content associated with individual tasks. And what's really great is that you can attach any number of them to these items. And so you always have an easy way to find them. You're not hunting around for them, digging through emails, or having those kinds of struggles. So that's where I think Planner really shines. But this is just one way of utilizing that information, and we're going to go into it a little more. So why use Planner at all? So it performs two major functions. One is collaboration. So it's a really powerful collaboration tool. It integrates really well with Microsoft Teams. It allows you to assign tasks. So if you're a manager overseeing a team, you can assign individual tasks to the relevant person, or you can share work. So if you're doing a collaborative project, like let's say some sort of implementation plan, and there are lots of bits and pieces to keep track of, lots of moving parts, it's really great for saying so and so is responsible for this. They're gonna take ownership of that task, and move forward on it. It's also a really great transparency tool for leadership or stakeholders. One of the reasons that I have my personal work on Planner is because my work impacts a lot of people, and it can really save a lot of time and effort when I meet with Danny, and she doesn't necessarily need a recap of every specific thing I'm working on, because she can check my planner board at any given time and see what I'm actively working on at any given time, what I've got on the docket upcoming, what things I'm waiting on people for, and how much capacity I have to tackle a new project or to take on something new. And that same functionality is available to everyone within our organization, within our team. They can all check my planner board and see what I'm working on. And that's especially powerful because I might end up doing a similar project between multiple different programs. And so somebody might see me working on that and be like, hey, I want that too. So it creates a really great opportunity for seeing and getting inspired by stuff. Um, it's I mentioned that you can attach several things, whether they be links, whether they be files. It's a great one-stop shop for items and resources regardless of their origin. So you can tie things to those projects. And again, not just for you, but for everyone that's collaborating on it. So you can think of it as like a dozen mini teams within there that where you're storing documents, you can collaborate on them, you can have back and forth conversations within these individual tasks. It's really, really cool for collaboration that way too. And Kanban itself is a really great organizational tool to sort through stuff where having a to-do list doesn't really give you the same level of visual fidelity when it comes to processing information and trying to assess, okay, what functionality is here, what things are moving, what things are not. If I've got a really important project and it's been stuck for a while, and we're meeting about that project, we can jump right in with well, I've noticed that this project's been stuck for a while. What do we need to do to get it unstuck? You can see and infer things from it that you might not be able to with other tools. And speaking of visualization, it's a really great visual management tool. It's kind of like the basic 101 of project management. Kanban systems are. It allows you to track some fairly basic but important things when it comes to dealing with any large project with multiple moving pieces. So it allows you to track timelines, gauge work progress, and establish different kinds of task types. So those were what those tags were that I was using earlier. It allows you to easily keep statuses up to date. So one of the best things about it is when I'm ready to move a task from one bucket to another, it's click and drag. It takes me a fraction of a second to do. I don't have to go in, open Excel, find the right page, change the category. It's a lot easier to track that stuff. And the itemized subtasks makes it really, really great and really, really easy to break a task down. And it might start out as just an individual task, but you might realize halfway through, oh, there's actually like 5 or 6 elements of this. And it's really easy to do subtasks. And if a subtask turns out to be more complicated than you expected, you can also take an individual subtask with a click and turn it into a full-on task to generate its own subtasks. So that's a really it's kind of a hidden feature that's really, really powerful. When tasks are overdue, it's easy to spot. There's a bright red color that's, these are things that are really good about visual management systems in general, and definitely true of Planner. And it also allows you to see what's most important. And ultimately, that's what a lot of our work comes down to doing, because there's, sort of there can be an infinite amount of work, but we have to prioritize and sort through it and work through it in the way that makes the most sense. And Planner is a really good tool for doing that. So now that we've established what is Planner, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about some basic features, creating tasks, adding features to tasks. We're going to talk about ways to create buckets, a couple of advanced features like assigning staff and other ways to visualize the data within Planner, because the default is what you've seen so far, but there's lots of other ways. We're going to go through a really quick exercise that might or might not work. We'll find out. and then we'll talk about some best practices, and hopefully we'll have some time at the end for questions. So when you're ready to, once you've created your board, and we're going to walk through doing that in the exercise, you're going to be basically met with a single bucket, which is a to-do bucket, and a little button that says add task. So basically you're going to hit that, it'll pop open into a thing that looks like this, where you can basically decide what task needs doing. So you're going to enter a task name, you might set a due date, and you might do some assignments, and then you hit add task. That's all you can set up when you are establishing the task. Once you have hit add task, then you can open that up and you can explore a lot of the functionality that's inside of those individual tasks that we've seen. So you've got the name, you've got any assignees, and you can assign anyone that is on the team to a task. One quirk of Planner is that planners are assigned by team. You cannot have just a personal, only for me planner board. It has to be assigned to a team. But anyone within that team can be assigned to a task, and in practice, no one's going around exploring the various planner boards that are out there. So if you do want a personal one, it's easy to set up and no one will bother it. But again, where it really shines is a collaborative tool anyway. So you can assign any number of people to a task. You can add or basically you can create labels. All those labels that I used, those were all labels that I created. They're really nice to color code and easy to color code. You can change the bucket if you need to. You can indicate the progress. The progress only has 3 steps. It's not started, in progress, and complete. There are multiple priorities that you can assign. You can assign a start date and an end date. You can indicate any notes. So there's a variety of things that it will show on the front of an individual planner board. And you can see I'm utilizing a bunch of them on here, but you can choose to show the notes, you can choose to show the checklist, or you can choose to show attachments. And you can see right here, I've onboarded a link to the onboarding work that I was doing, and you just click show on card, and that'll be the thing that it shows on the card. So it makes it easy to put the stuff that's most important front and center for the project and make it easy to manage. You can see here when you click add attachment, there are several attachments that are possible. So you can upload items from your computer, you can upload from Teams files, or you can provide a link to a URL. Now that link to a URL could also be to a Teams file, or it could be to a OneDrive, or it could be to a website. You can basically, if it's got a web address, you can go ahead and put it as a link. So that's where we can really build in this full suite of relevant attachments to these individual tasks. And at the bottom here, we have comments. So you can even have back and forth conversations about individual items within the planner ecosystem. And the one caveat to that being, when you do that, everyone in the team gets a message that you've done that, unless it is explicitly being suppressed by IT, which in our case, well, it is in some cases, and in some cases it wasn't. When I was with the Department of Environmental Conservation, all DEC emails were being suppressed, so you could freely use the comments. And it was a great practical tool because not everyone was getting an email every time you did it. But if you're working with a small team and you want everyone to know when you've left a comment about a task, it's really, really great for letting people know, like, hey, everyone, this is on hold because the team that was supposed to meet to discuss it is on a hiatus or something. So you can really share important information about these tasks, and multiple people can collaborate on these. So everyone that's on a team can move an item, can create an item, can mark an item complete. It's not meant to be one person's job to update the project. It's everyone's job to update a project. That sort of covers the basic things here. I'll just add, creating a new bucket is really, really easy. You just hit the plus sign and you can name it whatever you want. You can rename to do. It doesn't have to be to do. That's just the default that it gives. So it's really heavily customizable in that part. So when we get into advanced features, we're talking assignments. So any staff on the team can be assigned to a task. As long as they are a member of the team, you can add them. You can group things differently. So you can open Planner and you can see a visualization that will actually look at all of the tasks that you have assigned to you across all planner boards. So if you're a part of 6 different planner boards and you're having trouble keeping track of, oh, what tasks am I responsible for which thing, you can open it up and you can look at a visualization that just shows you all the tasks that you're responsible for. So if people are being diligent about assigning tasks, you can really stay on top of it. And any tasks that are assigned in Planner also show up in To Do. So To Do is kind of a great conglomeration of Outlook tasks and Planner tasks. So if you want a one-stop shop for all of the places that you are tracking your to-do items, everything you do here does carry over there. So I mentioned that there are alternate ways to visualize things. By default, it groups things by that board. There's also a charts functionality, so it's sort of like a report out for an individual planner board. So you can see right here, oh, we've completed 25 of the tasks, 10 of which are not started, 5 are in progress, and 3 are late. We can see the breakdown of the things that are waiting, or I can really quickly see, okay, of the things that are late, are any of them things that are in my active implementation pile? No, some of them are waiting. Looks like 2 of them are waiting. One of them is an ongoing effort. So I don't really need to worry about that. And we mentioned you can set up priorities. It'll break things down by priority. By default, it groups by bucket, but you can actually group by any of these different categories, including bucket. You can group by assigned to. So if you do that, it'll take all of the things that John Sears is assigned and list those vertically. All of the things that Agnes is assigned and list those vertically. It's a really great way of parsing out who's responsible for what. So again, if you're managing a team or if you're implementing a project, it's really great to look at and go, okay, what's the capacity looking like? Who's handling what? You can group by progress, due date, labels. It's one of the reasons I tend to use buckets for process steps, because you can always visualize by labels. So if you have a category of work, you can always visualize by that after. You're just going to use labels because sometimes things can have multiple applicable categories of work. Like the work that I've been doing on the Heavy Cut database is program support because it's for Heavy Cut. It's technology because we're implementing an Office 365 Power Automate thing. And it's coaching because I wasn't doing it by myself. I was helping somebody else learn how to do it. So I, with if I change the grouping, I can instantly look at, okay, these are all the things that I'm coaching on. These are all the things that I'm doing to support programs. And it makes it really, really easy to say, here's what I'm doing and here's how I'm doing it for anybody that asks. There's also a schedule button here. You can sort of see what that looks like. So that takes the start dates and end dates of the individual tasks and we'll list them out. So there's lots and lots of ways to visualize this stuff. So now we're going to go ahead and hop into the exercise, and you guys are going to go ahead and create your own planner boards. So I am going to go ahead and hop out here. This is my planner board. If you are in any Office 365 environment, you can go ahead and hit the 9 dots and find planner. And it'll open up this thing right here. You might not have as many of these as I do. And you'll notice that I have a couple of boards pinned because I've got 2 really important ones. And there are a bunch of other ones that I have access to that I don't need pinned because I don't actually access them all that often. So you can also go to tasks.office.com if you don't want to access the 9 dots. Building a new plan is really, really simple. You just go right here to new plan. And so it's going to prompt you for a plan name. I'm going to go ahead and say test. And you have to choose a group for your plan. So I'm in a training right now, buddy. I told you I can help you out after. I can't help you right now, kiddo. Okay, I will help you later, kiddo. You do have to assign it to a group. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my available groups, and I think I want to tie this one to the admin assistant team. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to go ahead and create the plan. So it'll take a minute to create that plan. So now we can go ahead and we can customize the buckets. So to do is fine. We'll go ahead and add a working on it category and a collaborative space and a help category. So maybe someone's working on a task and they're asking for help. They can go ahead and add that here. So for our working on it, we can go ahead and say create planner. I'm going to go ahead and set a due date for today. And I'm going to go ahead and assign myself. And I'm going to add the task. Now that it's been created, I can just go ahead and click on it and open it up. And you can see that same space we saw before. I'm going to go ahead and copy this link so that I can add an attachment. I'm going to go ahead and do a link to a URL. I can add that link. I can say planner link. And you see show on card is on there. I'm going to go ahead and add a label. By default, none of your labels have actual categories, but we can call this work about work. And we are in progress because we're doing it right now. It is urgent because we're working on it right now. And we also started it today. So hopefully we're going to be done with that today. We can assign buckets, add tasks. And if you have multiple things that can be displayed on the front of a bucket, it'll actually give you the option of which things you want to show on card. You can only show one thing at a time on the card. But we're going to go ahead and show this. Creating planner for training. So you can see right here, the planner link is easily accessible. I can go ahead and click that and it will take me right to here. And I don't even have to go into the task. If I wanted to, I could show this on the card, creating the planner for training. So it sort of explains what it does. I can still access that link if I need to, or I can show the individual items on there. So really, really good, really, really powerful. And I can go ahead and view by assigned to. Right now, there's just the one task and it's got me. If I want to go ahead and I'll create a task. I can go back to the bucket to do training work. And I'm going to go ahead and assign Kathy to that. Oh, I can't because she's not on the team. Haha. See, you can only add someone that's on the team. So let's add Ellen. Sorry, Ellen. This is due tomorrow. And I'm going to go ahead and add the task. And because it's due tomorrow, it's really important. So I'm going to go ahead and make it urgent. Now, if we go ahead and group by assigned to, you see Ellen's got a column, I've got a column. We can group by progress. So you can see Ellen's thing has not yet started. Ellen, why haven't you got to it? I mean, it's not like you got anything else going on right now. And mine is in progress. We can sort by due date. So today, tomorrow, labels, work about work, and anything that's in that category will show up here. No labels. You can also view it by charts. We got one to do, one working on it. So you can see there's really fun, powerful ways to process and utilize that data. You can even, and we're going to get into this a little bit, you can even get into Power Automate to take advantage of some of the stuff. So we've recently started the 50/50 grant program for fire gear ordering. So those requests are being submitted through A&R Online. I get an email when they have completed those tasks. And when they come in, when I get those emails, the information from that email is automatically parsed and it is created here as end form submitted because the form has been submitted. So once the payment is received, we'll go ahead and move it to payment received. When we've got payment received, we can place the order. Once the order is placed, we can go ahead and move it over here. It's really, really easy. It's as easy as clicking and dragging. So really, really cool, really, really powerful. Planner is one of my favorite tools. So I mentioned pinning plans. You want to pin your favorite plans. So if you have a personal one, if you've got one or two projects that are really important, go ahead and pin them. You can create a planner tab in Teams for your team to stay in sync. So if we're in Teams, and I'll just go ahead and show you under Forest Admin Services, which is the primary way that I stay in touch with people. You can see Admin Coordination is a tab here, and it opens up right to that same planner board. And I can do all of the exact same stuff you just saw right here in Teams. I don't even have to leave Teams. And any of you that are in the forestry division team can go ahead and access this stuff. If you have notes that you want to share with me about it, if you have attachments that you think might be relevant to one of these projects that I'm working with you on, you can go ahead and add them. I don't have to do it. You can do it. It's a really, really powerful, really collaborative tool. So you can integrate with To-Do. So tasks that get assigned to you or that you assign yourself will show up there alongside all of your other tasks. And it works really great combined with Power Automate. So you could use it to track work automatically. That's a project that I've worked on with one of my coworkers back in DEC, where she doesn't even have to manually move the items when it's ready to do it. It basically is a dashboard that will automatically trigger based on a variety of actions to let her know what category that work is in. And all of her superiors that want to know what's up with an individual project can just look at it and know. And you can use it to automatically generate tasks from forms, lists, or emails through Power Automate. We're going to talk about Power Automate in one of the later sessions, but Power Automate is extremely powerful, and this plays very nicely with it. So that wraps up my training. I want to leave a minute for any questions if anyone has any. You can feel free to raise your hand or drop them in the chat. I know these half-hour trainings are a whirlwind, so I appreciate you guys hanging with me. Great. Okay. Well, thanks everyone for joining me today. Our next training in the Office Essentials series is SharePoint and lists. So SharePoint lists, really, really cool, also very powerful. And there's a lot of fun stuff you can do in there. All right, and Elizabeth asked a real quick question: with planners tied to a team, how do you make one for your personal to-dos? So if you personally are assigned to a task, it'll automatically show up as one of your to-do items. So it treats that as a personal item. All right, that'll do it for today. Thanks everyone for coming.